Welcome to the HRTechNexus Podcast, the go-to resource for small and mid-sized businesses ready to revolutionize recruiting and onboarding. Twice a week, we deliver actionable, budget-friendly tech strategies to help you compete for top talent globally without enterprise-level costs. If you're drowning in manual hiring tasks, battling compliance headaches, or stuck with clunky HR systems, you're in the right place. We break down tools like AI-driven applicant trackers, seamless onboarding platforms, and compliance automation, all scaled for SMEs. Join me as we unpack real-world strategies from HR leaders who've slashed time to hire, boosted retention, and built future-ready teams.
Welcome to HRTechNexus, where we dig into the latest in HR tech straight from HRTechNexus.com. We're here to help you, especially if you're running a small or medium-sized business, put these ideas to work. And you know what's even cooler?
What's that?
HRTechNexus can actually help companies just like yours put all this into practice.
Yeah, we're big on turning insights into action.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into something super important for your team's success. Setting those really clear performance expectations for new employees. You know, it's like giving them a compass so they can really find their way and do great in their role.
You got it. And HRTechNexus.com says nearly 70% of workers, get this, report they feel unsure about their role expectations. That lack of clarity, it can mess with engagement, tank productivity, and even lead to some pricey mistakes.
It's like sending someone on a treasure hunt without a map. Speaking of maps, HRTechNexus.com really emphasizes how important it is to make those expectations clear and measurable. So instead of saying be a team player, which is kind of vague, you can say something like contribute to at least 2 team projects each quarter.
Yeah, that specific stuff is key. Indeed did some research, actually, and HRTechNexus.com cited it, and it shows that well-defined expectations actually directly impact how people approach their work and understand their roles.
And to really see this in action, HRTechNexus.com shared this case study from YouTube about a dental practice.
Oh, interesting.
They had unclear roles, and guess what? It led to some big-time financial losses because the wrong person was handling a critical task.
Ouch, that hurts.
Right. Ouch is right. It just goes to show why clarity from day one is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Survey Sparrow, another resource that HRTechNexus.com highlighted, suggests using those detailed job descriptions and SOPs, you know, those standard operating procedures.
Right.
It's like having a playbook for every single role.
I like that.
But HRTechNexus.com doesn't stop there.
Of course not.
They also really emphasize aligning expectations with an employee's skills they already have. You know,
yeah.
It's about encouraging them to grow, not setting them up to fail, right?
Totally. It's finding that sweet spot. HRTechNexus.com, along with HR Morning, they both stress how important ongoing feedback is. We're talking regular, constructive feedback that helps employees adjust and excel. Think those regular one-on-ones and even those group feedback sessions where everyone can share and stay on the same page.
Creating that open conversation is so important. HRTechNexus.com and AgPrad both emphasize this. It lets employees speak up about concerns, share ideas, and really contribute to the team's success.
And to take it even further, HRTechNexus.com highlights performance improvement systems. It's about moving beyond just feedback and building a structure for constant growth. Think regular performance reviews, setting goals that line up with company objectives. It's all about that growth mindset individually and as a team.
So it's not just about setting expectations and crossing your fingers. It's about actively supporting those employees. But what about today's world? You know, with remote and global teams all over. HRTechNexus.com and HR Morning, they both recognize that flexibility in those expectations is more important than ever. And of course, we need the right tech to make it all work.
That's where things get really cool. We're seeing this rise of digital performance management, or DPM as the cool kids call it. HRTechNexus.com actually pointed to 2 great resources on this, PDS Vision and PTC. They go deep on how DPM uses real-time data to find those bottlenecks and boost efficiency, like in ways we've never seen before.
Okay, hold on. I'm picturing a control panel with flashing lights and all this data flying by. What kind of real-world impact are we talking about with DPM?
So HRTechNexus.com shared this story about a VP of Global Continuous Improvement named Roberta. She used DPM, and get this, she figured out the bottlenecks in her manufacturing plant, and guess what? She actually eliminated a whole overtime shift. And not only that, but she also boosted employee satisfaction. Talk about a win-win situation.
That's amazing. It really sounds like DPM can revolutionize how companies work. And I love that HRTechNexus.com is all about supporting small and medium-sized businesses to make these strategies a reality. But before we get lost in the tech world, let's switch gears and talk about onboarding. HRTechNexus.com, along with a really interesting blog post from Deal, has some great insights into how to make that first impression really count.
Onboarding is so crucial, right? It sets the tone for the whole employee experience. And HRTechNexus.com is spot on, emphasizing this trend towards hyper-personalization. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing anymore. It's about making the experience fit each person's needs and how they learn best.
And HRTechNexus.com highlights how technology is a huge part of this whole personalized onboarding revolution. Think AI chatbots, available 24/7, to answer those common questions and guide new hires through the process. It's like having a virtual buddy who's always there to help.
Interactive and accessible. Think video conferencing, messaging apps, even learning management systems for training. It keeps things interesting and makes sure everyone can take part no matter where they are.
Wait, there's more. HRTechNexus.com and Deal both mention this super cool trend. Gamification and onboarding. They're taking those modules that could be kind of boring and turning them into something fun and engaging, like a game.
Yeah, it's about tapping into that natural desire we have for achievement and recognition. HRTechNexus.com mentions companies like Deloitte and Atlassian who've seen great results with these gamified onboarding programs. More engagement, faster time to productivity. It's like sneaking veggies into a smoothie. It's learning disguised as fun.
I love that. But HRTechNexus.com is also quick to point out that you can't just toss in some game elements and call it a day. It needs to be strategic, well-planned.
Totally agree. You've got to assess your current onboarding process, figure out what needs work, and then pick those gamification elements that match your company culture.
So if your company is all about teamwork, then maybe team-based challenges are better than those individual leaderboards. It's about making it genuine, reflecting your company's personality. And HRTechNexus.com really stresses integrating those gamified elements with your existing HR systems and LMS. You want it to be seamless, not some clunky add-on. They actually shared a case study from SAP where this integration was key to their success.
For sure. And obviously, you've got to track progress and be open to adapting based on the data and feedback you get. Are new hires actually engaging with those game elements? Are they hitting those milestones faster? Those are the questions you should be asking.
We've covered a ton here, from setting those clear expectations to totally revamping your onboarding process.
Yeah.
And it's clear that HRTechNexus.com is a goldmine of practical advice for creating a workplace where everyone feels supported and motivated to do their best.
And don't forget, HR Tech Nexus is there to help you every step of the way.
Now we want to hear from you. What stood out? What are you excited to try out in your own workplace? Let us know in the comments, and definitely check out HRTechNexus.com for even more insights and resources.
And stick around for part 2, where we'll dig even deeper into how to craft those performance expectations that really work. Welcome back for part 2 of our deep dive into setting clear performance expectations for new employees. We're picking up where we left off, really getting into the nuts and bolts of how to craft expectations that actually work.
Yeah, ready to get tactical. I know I am. And remember, all these awesome insights are coming straight from HRTechNexus.com. They're a fantastic resource, especially for those small, medium-sized businesses out there looking to really up their HR game.
For sure.
And the best part, they don't just talk about it. They actually provide that expert guidance to help companies just like yours make it happen.
Yeah, that hands-on approach makes a big difference. It's one thing to understand the idea, but actually putting it into practice, that's a whole other ballgame.
Totally. So let's kick things off with a key takeaway from HRTechNexus.com. They really stress setting those expectations right from the beginning. Day one, no waiting around.
Right off the bat, giving them a roadmap before they even start the journey. They need to know where they're headed and how to get there. Without that clear direction, you can easily get lost.
HRTechNexus.com really hits home the importance of those detailed job descriptions and SOPs, those standard operating procedures we talked about earlier. Don't skip the details. The more specific, the better.
Absolutely. And HRTechNexus.com has a great tip here. They suggest getting your current team involved in actually creating those job descriptions and SOPs. After all, they're the ones doing the work every day, so they have those valuable insights into what it takes to be successful in each role.
It's like getting the inside scoop. Plus, it creates that feeling of ownership and collaboration right from the start. Everyone feels like they're part of the process. But it's not just about the what of the job, right? It's also about setting clear goals.
Oh yeah, for sure. HRTechNexus.com is a huge fan of those SMART goals. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. That's the gold standard for setting objectives that actually work.
It's so easy to fall into that trap of vague goals, like improve customer satisfaction. But what does that even mean? How do you actually measure it? SMART goals force you to really break it down and define what success looks like.
HRTechNexus.com gives a great example. Let's say you're onboarding a new customer service rep. Instead of that vague goal, a SMART goal might be increase the customer satisfaction rating by 5% within the first quarter by responding to all inquiries within 24 hours. See how much clearer that is.
Night and day. It's clear, it's measurable, and it gives that representative a target to aim for. No more guessing games. But HRTechNexus.com also reminds us that those individual goals need to link up with the company's overall goals, their strategic direction.
Right, it's all connected. Each role plays a part in the bigger picture. HRTechNexus.com actually suggests using something called a performance map, like a visual representation that connects each role to those department goals and ultimately to the organization's big objectives.
So like a flowchart of success, everyone can see how their contributions fit into the big picture.
Exactly. It creates a sense of purpose, like shared responsibility. Everyone's rowing in the same direction.
We've talked about those initial expectations, but what about managing performance on an ongoing basis? How do we keep that momentum going?
Well, HRTechNexus.com is a big advocate for those regular performance reviews. But we're not talking about those dreaded once-a-year sit-downs where you feel like you're being judged.
Thank goodness. Nobody enjoys those. So what does HRTechNexus.com recommend instead?
They suggest more frequent, informal check-ins, maybe even monthly. It's about having a continuous dialogue, not just a one-time event.
And this ties back to that culture of feedback we discussed earlier. It's about providing support, recognizing those wins, and course-correcting when you need to.
Here's another great tip from HRTechNexus.com. They say to use those check-ins to discuss career development goals as well. It shows employees that you care about their growth, not just how they're performing right now.
That's such a smart way to keep people engaged and feeling motivated. It shows you see them as valuable with potential for the long term, not just cogs in a machine. But how do you actually keep track of all these conversations and the progress being made?
HRTechNexus.com emphasizes documentation. It doesn't need to be super formal, but having some kind of record helps track progress and spot any recurring issues or patterns. It's not about micromanaging, it's about having data to guide those future conversations and make better decisions.
That makes sense. But now we can't ignore the elephant in the room, the rise of remote and hybrid work. HRTechNexus.com acknowledges that we need the right technology to support performance management in this new world of work.
Oh, absolutely. We can't just rely on those face-to-face interactions anymore. So what kind of tools are we talking about?
Well, HRTechNexus.com points out a few key categories. First, there's performance management software. This can help with tracking goals, giving feedback, even automating some of those administrative tasks. It's like having a digital assistant for performance management.
Talk about saving time. What else?
There's more. They also recommend communication tools like Slack or Microsoft Teams to keep everyone connected and make those real-time conversations happen, especially important for those remote team members.
Right.
And lastly, HRTechNexus.com reminds us about learning and development platforms. These give access to online courses, training modules, and all sorts of resources to help employees grow and learn new skills. It's not just about managing how they're doing now, it's about investing in their future success.
But it's super important to remember that technology is just a tool. The real key is using it strategically to support your overall philosophy about performance management.
You got it. It's about finding the tools that work best for your specific team and your company culture. And guess what? HRTechNexus.com can help you navigate that whole process. They've got resources, case studies, even expert consultants who can guide you every step of the way.
Amazing.
Okay, we've talked about setting clear expectations, making sure they align with company goals, and using the right tech to support it all. But what about the human side of things?
Ah, yes, the human element, always the most important piece. HRTechNexus.com really emphasizes creating that culture of trust and open communication.
It's not just about numbers and targets. It's about creating an environment where people feel comfortable sharing their ideas, asking for help, even admitting when they've made a mistake.
Totally. HRTechNexus.com suggests a few ways to build this kind of culture. First, lead by example. Be transparent, be approachable, and be willing to admit your own weaknesses. It's about making leadership more human and showing everyone that you're all in it together.
And they also recommend creating those opportunities for casual interactions, like team lunches or social events. This helps build those personal connections and creates a sense of belonging.
So it's not all work all the time. A little bit of fun and camaraderie can go a long way in building that positive and supportive environment.
HRTechNexus.com also highlights recognizing and rewarding good performance. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. Just a simple thank you or a shout out in a team meeting can have a huge impact.
It's all about showing that you appreciate them and letting people know that their hard work doesn't go unnoticed, which can be super motivating.
Absolutely. Reminds us that performance management is a journey, not a destination. It's about continuously evolving, learning, and adapting.
So it's not about finding that one perfect system and sticking with it forever. It's about staying flexible, trying new things, and always striving to improve. And remember, HRTechNexus.com is there to support you every step of the way. They're like that wise friend who's always got your back, offering advice, resources, and that much-needed encouragement.
Exactly. As we wrap up part 2 of this deep dive, take some time to think about your own approach to setting performance expectations. What's working? What could be better? And how can you build that culture where everyone feels empowered to succeed? Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into performance expectations. We've talked about setting clear goals, fostering a supportive culture, and now it's time for a glimpse into the future.
Yes, we're going to explore some cutting-edge trends that are completely changing the game in performance management, and all thanks to the insights from HRTechNexus.com, of course.
HRTechNexus.com always seems to be ahead of the curve, so what's their crystal ball showing us this time? What's on the horizon for HR tech?
One word, AI.
AI. Artificial intelligence. That sounds a little, futuristic for HR. How does that actually work in practice when it comes to managing performance?
Well, imagine a system that can analyze huge amounts of data, like performance metrics, feedback, even emails and chat logs. And it can find those hidden patterns that we humans might completely miss. It's like having a superpowered analyst on your team working 24/7.
So we're talking about getting insights we couldn't get before. What kind of insights are we talking about here with this AI-powered analysis?
Well, for starters, it can help us identify those rock star performers, those high potential employees. And it's not based on gut feeling, it's based on real, hard data.
That takes all the guesswork out of managing talent and lets us focus on developing our best people. What else can AI do?
It can also pinpoint those areas where employees might be struggling and suggest some personalized training or coaching programs. We can be proactive instead of just waiting for those problems to pop up.
It really does sound like AI could transform performance management. But I have to ask, where does that human touch fit into all this data analysis? Doesn't it seem a bit, impersonal?
Yeah, that's a good point. But we have to remember that AI is a tool. It's not meant to replace human judgment. HRTechNexus.com really emphasizes using AI ethically and responsibly. It's about enhancing our abilities, not getting rid of that human element.
So it's about finding that balance, those data-driven insights, but combined with that human touch, that empathy. That seems really important for creating an effective system. Now, HRTechNexus.com also highlighted this shift away from those annual performance reviews and towards continuous performance management.
Yes. That's a trend that's really taking off. In today's world where things move so fast, waiting a whole year for feedback just isn't going to cut it. Employees need more regular feedback to stay on track and reach their potential.
Plus, it takes the pressure off those dreaded annual reviews, right?
Yeah.
No more cramming a year's worth of feedback into one conversation. HRTechNexus.com seems to be really on board with this whole continuous feedback loop. What role does technology play in making this happen?
Oh, it plays a huge role. Think about those performance management apps where employees can track their goals, get feedback, even ask for input from their managers or colleagues. It gives them the power to take ownership of their own performance.
It sounds like it creates a culture of accountability. Okay, one last trend from HRTechNexus.com that really caught my eye. People analytics. What is that all about?
Think of people analytics as taking HR data analysis to a whole new level. It's about using statistics to get those deeper insights into workforce trends, employee behavior, and even predict future outcomes. We're talking about answering those big strategic HR questions.
Like, how can we keep people from leaving the company?
Yeah.
Or how can we create a more diverse and inclusive work environment? Those sorts of things.
Exactly. It's about using data to make better decisions and create a more positive and productive work environment. HRTechNexus.com is an amazing resource for any company out there, especially those small and medium-sized businesses who are trying to stay ahead of the game.
This has been a fantastic deep dive. We've explored everything from setting those clear expectations to harnessing the power of AI. HRTechNexus.com has given us so much to think about and even more to actually put into practice.
And don't forget, HRTechNexus is there to help you along the way. They're your partner in building a workplace where people can truly thrive.
So listeners, we encourage you to embrace these trends and really explore how you can apply them to your own approach to performance management. Remember, it's all about people, their growth, their development, and their well-being. By focusing on the human element and using technology in smart ways, we can create a future of work where everyone has the opportunity to succeed.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into performance expectations. We hope you found it helpful and inspiring. Make sure to check out HRTechNexus.com for more resources and expert guidance.
Until next time.
Thanks for joining us on the HRTechNexus Podcast. Ready to take action? Head to HRTechNexus.com to access today's episode resources, including actionable guides, real-world case studies, and free tools to streamline your hiring and onboarding. Don't miss our weekly newsletter for bite-sized HR tech hacks, software comparisons, and compliance tips tailored to SMEs. No enterprise-level budgets required. And if you're ready to transform your HR workflows with custom-built solutions, book a free discovery call with our experts. We design strategies that fit your company's size, industry, and global needs. Until next time, innovate boldly, outsmart the status quo, and let's build HR teams that don't just compete, they dominate.